This poor man spent all his money saving up to buy a first-class airline just to meet the idol he's always wanted. But when he's ready to shake hands, idol again. Use hand sanitizer directly in front of you. I want to send this guy to the lab. Pine in the back. The poor man was very impressed. It's only natural that he's paying to sit here. But this man's thinking is naive. Just for a moment, the captain's voice boomed across the plane. Due to technical problems, this plane will be back live. We're sorry for the inconvenience. With just one sentence the rich man had, you can make the plane turn right away. That's the power of money. If you have a luxury ticket, why? But I own this plane, man. The financial power of the rich man. The poor man, I had to get off this plane. But the rich man doesn't know that. Poor guy, in front of him will be his strongest opponent in the future. And then the man spent 14.5 years. Leasing 250 planes in the US. He actually started an airline on his own. The unbelievable thing is, his plane tickets were sold for 1 penny each. Your goal is not to be around competition with the airline. It's so that Indians can also fly. More difficult. Believe it or not, this is a true story. The main character is Nejumaran, the pioneer in India's low-cost aviation sector. The film is about the pursuit. It's his dream. It will definitely bring them. We have valuable lessons. Mara was born in a remote countryside in India. Due to inconvenient traffic, the village became poor and backward. Even though we've built railroad tracks here, but there's no train that stops here. To change this reality, Mara's father kept writing letters, petition to the authorities, requests to set up gas stop in his village. I used to use this method to get electricity for the village. Although I did not stop writing for 15 years, the construction of the GA train still does not have any changes. After Mara grew up, you chose a completely different way than your father. Lead the people to fight by lying on the tracks. It's no surprise. The people were brutally suppressed by the police. In times of chaos, Mara's best friend was stoned almost blind. I know the news is angry. He opposes all acts of violence. That it is not necessary. They hurt themselves when doing good. But Mara found her father weak and corrupt. Writing a letter is a complete waste of time. That's why their father and son argued bitterly. It seems like everyone has a day. Fight for the right to speak out. This is like a power struggle that every family has to go through. I'm a fucking 7 loser forever. If violence is wrong, why did you hit me? Thank you for respecting me, son. When I die, you don't need to be cremated. Mara left the house in anger, but I never realized. This fight will make you regret it for the rest of your life. After leaving home, Mara joined the army. Become an Air Force pilot. I often write letters home. Share your accomplishments and joys. I kept throwing letters on the ground, but when I read the letter, he kept listening proudly to his son. He also wrote a letter to his son, and then he stealthily kept them. When I heard the harsh commander torturing his son, your father was worried and didn't he know what to do. But when my son called, a sudden hang-up, he fell into a deep misunderstanding. Blame yourself. I can hear your voice. Let me talk to you. Why am I supposed to take that loser's phone call? He won't listen. Not in the bosom of my father. That's why it can't be undone forever. Until one day in 1989. Mara received the news that father was seriously ill. It turns out I was in bed too weak and tried to hold your breath just to see my son for the last time. Mara told her that he would be home the next morning. Two good friends also donated money to buy you a plane ticket. But when we get to the airport, I've been told that economy class is out of tickets. The earliest flight is 2 days later. Mara wants to buy first-class tickets to go home. The money you have in your hand is not enough. I asked the ticket agent for me. But all that you get, their scornful eyes. There's no other choice. I started to rush to ask for help from other passengers. Mara was honest about her situation. He even knelt down to show his name, your name and address. But these people don't just want to help. They even call guards to pull Marathis. At this time it's like a mountain weighing down a man. Money as well as a knife. Cut the connection before you die. Make the journey. The return of this boy is separate. The clouds are helpless. Mara was forced to choose other means of transport. The father is lying in his hospital bed at home. Even hallucinations. He saw his son wearing uniform in the house. Finally, the father is gone forever, with tears of regret. When Mara finally came home, I didn't even make it to father's funeral. I want to know when my parents are old. But the parents were no longer. Mara immediately started crying. In your heart, filled with boundless regret and remorse, like a son in the family. How can I easily forgive you? Why did you come back now? Why did you come back now? At least let him see you once. It is not enough to leave in such regret. He said he didn't want to talk to a loser, even at the cremation. I couldn't bring myself to light a fire for him. I don't have enough money to buy a plane ticket. Do you know how much he still loves you? Here, read it yourself. It turns out the words I wanted to say to my son. It's all written in these hidden letters. In your letter you said that everyone says that sparrows can't become an eagle, but my son will definitely break this concept. It can't just fly itself, but also take everyone up to the sky. It turns out you know your son so well. But it was you who let the argument go a few years ago. It became a permanent goodbye to me. From this moment, Mara is more determined to pursue her dreams so that ordinary people can take cheap flights. Let your own regrets never happen again. I want to start an airline. Every citizen can go. But in a hierarchical country like India, dream. This is for a child who grew up in the countryside like you. It's like a pipe dream. Even though I won't give up. But after the 5th, I was forced to stay farming the barren fields of the family. Time to 1997. Mara is also old enough to get married. I met a strange girl on a date. She told Mara frankly, I don't cook or sew myself. I just want to open my own bakery. And he's been rejected 20 times on dates. Both families are trying to calm the situation. But Mara also honestly said that I borrowed money for a dream. To open an airline. You've had 21 banks and 81 hedge risk funds. Of rejection. Clearly these two don't like each other. But at dinner, it's fun. About starting a business, Mara breaks her plan into 4 steps. The first step, attract investment to solve money problem. The second step is obtaining an operating license. Then get a flight license and you can take off. I told the girl that for you, venture capital investors, your business plan can be used as property, mortgages from which to get capital from venture capitalists. And the old man is plastered on the back wall. It's my own startup idol. 25 years ago, he started with nothing and founded the largest airline today. When it comes to here, one of the girl's relatives complained that many of the most basic needs are still unmet. Who's going to need a plane? That's wrong. A century ago they said we don't need electricity. 55 years ago they said we don't need cars anymore. Who made these decisions? It's all because of the rich. Stop talking. I don't understand. This is the girl's statement. That made Mara immediately fall in love with her. I will marry her. I'll give you an answer tomorrow. But the next day, even though Mara was dressed up, girls still reject you when they break up. Let's wait until we all succeed before talking about marriage. Then the whole family started yelling at their dead daughter. But no matter what, this strange girl made Mara's heart of iron. Vibration. Then girl opens a bakery. But a few years passed, and Mara's not making any progress. After a series of 7 defeats, I decided to meet his idol to call for investment. But such big bosses, you can say you want to meet. So, he drained his savings just to meet my idol in first class. But while checking in, I met a woman who was stopped. The kind Mara decided to help her share her luggage. Overweight handbag. Then Mara found out. That woman turned out to be a full-fledged reporter. Local bar. Mara finally met the pay idol in first class. And presentation Think about ideas. Your cheap airline. I immediately realized that this was a viable plan. But he's been a rich man for too long. I forgot the origin of the worker. He frankly told Mara that I can't let the parasites and the workers showed up on the plane. He then ordered his followers to down the common compartment. Mara reasonable argument, but pay only uses one sentence, made the plane find a reason to go back. The first class is also full. The laughter of the capitalists at the poor. And this was seen by reporters in the common room. Mara got off the plane in anger. A man stopped you. This man claims to be a venture capitalist. After accidentally hearing Mara's idea, he said on the plane that he was interested. But when they're talking, Mara takes investors to a cheap restaurant. Investors can't adapt to the environment here. He told Mara, if you're hungry, I can take you to a restaurant. However, Mara asked him to taste the burgers here. Investors are reluctant to take a bite, but did not taste as good as a restaurant. And then Mara told him, food here in DTO than the restaurant 5 sound next door. They don't just use the same materials, but equally clean and hygienic. Price for the same food. It's not even a fifth of the price here. For the same reason as removing
Not
the
necessary
fluid on the plane. Removal of intermediaries such as
When
travel
buying
agents.
tickets,
You can definitely reduce the price
Others
of plane
fly
tickets
to buy
1 days. We can use the BAK system. Keep to fly 6 by 1 day. Even when the ticket price is low. As long as the overall occupancy rate is 70%. It's definitely going to be a profitable sale. The investors were very supportive of Mura's idea and decided to give you a chance. Take me to the board. Persuade other shareholders. At the board meeting, someone immediately asked me how to do it to deal with the enormous cost for the purchase of aircraft. But Mara calmly replied, I never thought about buying. Because US aviation is not booming, so we have. You can rent a plane for half the price right now. So you will compete with the giant airline of pay. How are your competitors? I've never been an airline. It's the Indian railway system. Because normal people go. The new train is our target customer. After an impressive presentation, all the shareholders are convinced by you. It takes 6 months to raise money. During that time, Mara needs to put her own money in her pocket to pay the deposit, to stop the business plan due to Auntie, and to stop the plane rental company from raising prices. Mara decided to go all out to seize the next chance of success. With my mother's support, Mara mortgages homes and land successfully raised $470 million. But if you don't pay, after 6 months you will have to pay double initially interest. The property. That's not enough to borrow that much money. But the bank manager said that Mara was his son, my teacher. So let's take this as a reward for teaching. But does capitalism really exist? Is that so kind? Mara solved the problem. Finances and feel good. You ride a motorcycle. Look at the plane that's about to take off next to you. As if I had seen my own dream. I'm going to soar high and hug in the vast sky. The sunset illuminates your face. Every ray of sunshine is talking about dreams and hopes. In my spare time, Mara used to go to the matchmaker's bakery, even though the girl is always indifferent to you. But Mara was persistent in her pursuit. Soon they were married. After marriage, Mara continues to pursue her dreams. Mara thought it was solved. The first step is financial. Everything else will be solved easily. But when you apply for a flight license, has been repeatedly postponed by the Civil Aviation Administration. Every time you get a response, it's just words like leaders are learning. Come back tomorrow. Day by day, week after week. Extended until the loan is due. Then the chief's secretary couldn't see and told me the truth. Turns out the director is one of them. Pay just needs a phone call. It was enough to make Mara difficult. Mara knows she can't fight back. But I don't want to give up debt piling up and double interest rates choking you. Desperate to hear. Trust the reporter you helped. I'm going to do a special interview with the president, so with the help of reporters, you come in front. The president as a scribe. After listening to the road full of and trouble, the bitterness of Mara, the president was very impressed with the president's help. The Civil Aviation Department enthusiastically completed. But just a few days later Mara got some bad news. The plane has just been shipped to India, but the Kia company directly cancelled the transaction. The reason is that the Civil Aviation Authority of India to provide blueprints for Boeing planes. This type of trade secret disclosure request, no company will agree. There are a lot of Boeing planes in India. Doesn't require a drawing board. But it wasn't until Mara rehired that this kind of request Mara went to the Civil Aviation Department for an explanation. Was informed by the director. Here's the new regulation that's been passed. He said the law won't change for you personally. Mara asked the opposite. That it can change for the rich. There are 500,000 fines to be paid. Mara no longer has a penny in her pocket. Just looking for investors for help. However, this time investors have completely stripped themselves of their shell. He sarcastically told Mara, "Don't you understand? Be my boss. The plane you ordered was bought for a cheap price by us. From the first time we met. Until you mortgage everything in debt. All of this was arranged by Mr. P. His travel company. We're making over $100 billion a year. How can I let you ruin your piece of cake? We can. Within a day ban all kinds of underground laws. For you just need a word that can push you into the abyss. Pay off your debt slowly." Mara is angry, impotent, staring at the dream plane out the window. In the eyes of the rich, it's a joke. The more I think, the more angry I get. I even went crazy to Pez company. You have to risk your life with pay. But in fact, it's clear that the more fish the net never breaks, the more they die. As soon as he showed up, he was handwritten to the ground. B from upstairs looking down at Mara. It's like seeing an ant that can be easily killed. Mara has experienced the brutality of society. At home you look moody and broken. Mother-in-law is very upset, but your wife never left you. Despite his wife's encouragement and Mara interest, still blames herself and blames fate. I believe I can make that plan a reality. Maybe it's just talking. I've never considered you a loser, Mara. Why do you like to live with a white man? Say the same, whether a man can get up or not. It depends on his own thoughts. Screaming and irritating blindly will only make you sink deeper and deeper. But people still say the road to dreams is like climbing a mountain. Although it is full of thorns, it is not difficult to walk. The heart of the powerless, when the soul is troubled and bitter, will be serene. Mara's constant reflection. It also makes your marriage almost to the end. Fortunately, the pregnant wife woke up Mara. It seems that maturity, the truth of every man, it always happened at the moment of becoming a father that afternoon. Mara is awakened by a sparrow flying into the house. After you let it fly, you follow it to the roof. Now the wife is feeding the birds in the back, lamenting that the food was eaten by the big birds. Sparrows that have no food will go hungry. This sentence awakened Mara immediately. Although sparrows are not as strong as large birds, but it can still fly freely. But people still say, although sparrows don't have pigeon ambitions, but it also knows how to spread its wings in the sky. Comparing each layer of pay with eagles can take up most of the resources and fly higher. You and most other normal people, like a sparrow, it takes very few resources to fly at low altitudes. Even though the sparrow is small, but it's everywhere in the country. So Mara decided to use a small airplane instead of large planes. These planes are low cost, fly low and use less fuel. This can help reduce costs significantly. The route doesn't need to be much planned. We just need to connect cities and villages enough from which we form a giant network of sparrows. You're working with a cargo plane renovation plan into a small passenger plane. Passenger transport is more profitable has no reason to refuse to stop by intervening again. Mara uses her family's identity, re-register the company during his time abroad, and finish smoothly all the necessary administrative procedures. Although the partnership still needs to raise $30 million to cover the cost. Build a fleet, and the debt has not been resolved before. So how do you deal with the need? The current financial. Although his wife's bakery is growing, she also withdrew all her money to support Mara. But that's just salt. Mara struggling to borrow money. Also a friend. His childhood at home witnessed. The next afternoon Mara hurried to the bank. The bank director warned that linked account continue to receive anonymous transfers. He asked me to several 10 million. After a while I asked Han. Mara found out all this money comes from people, relatives of his homeland. Someone sold out all the food in the house. Someone mortgaged the land for you. Childhood friend. He even took his sister's money. All the people of the homeland are willing to support Mara. They called me and told me they want to fly up into the blue sky from their front door. They want to fly once in a lifetime. Low-cost airlines are not just Mara's own dream. It is the desire of all working people. With the support of her homeland, Mara's more confident to turn over 500 small abandoned airports across India into a landing point for your own sparrow network. These small airports are centuries old. Before to serve for the post office are all something Mara also developed a ticketing system. Look at. You just need a phone call to book a ticket. Online completely bypass the intermediate as a travel agent. Not long after Pei realized they're starting to use their financial power to pressure them. He uses 3 times the salary, bribed all the pilots that Mara had recruited. Mara had to recruit retired a group military pilot at the age of 57. Retired pilot at the age of 61. That means they can fly for another 4 years. Mara's decal airline begins operations. Launching cheap airline tickets just won't help. Even economy class tickets only cost $500. This super cheap price is instant. It caught the attention of working people across India. On the first day of flying, everyone expected taking off. The old pilot panicked and didn't know what to do. Mara eventually flew the plane herself. Solve this risk. Even though no eye was injured, but Eli's image of safety has crumbled. Surrounded by reporters outside the airport. I don't even care about the wife who's about to give birth. She watched Mara surrounded. Just waving my hand to you. You can handle the birth yourself. When Mara's done, go to the hospital to see his frail wife and newborn daughter. I really want to give up now. So let's go back to the family. If the dream doesn't come true, but when you see a girl born with 6 fingers, I thought of a father with 6 fingers. He died and brought electricity to the village. Got train to the village. Why can't I try myself? One more time. Your father is here, however. Turning the tide is not the target of media criticism. For a while. between price and safety. The public's choice is obvious. After the investigation, this accident was according to the instructions of B. The goal is to once again hit Mara hard. The old man confessed under the protection of the judge. P has not been implicated in any of the allegations. Although was eventually declared innocent. However, for a company that goes the way of the masses, is no different. Death injury. The way to regain credibility will also be extremely difficult. How to regain the trust of the people when you have no way to go. Pest competitors proposed can buy Dekalilai for 160 million. This amount is enough for Mara to pay off all her debts. It can also help you make a lot of money. But Mara turned down this lucrative acquisition right on the spot. He once again confirmed his determination to pursue. But dreamers are always misunderstood. His friends insisted on selling the company for money. The reason for leaving your home country is not because that's why you two got into a heated argument. Left. Maybe the path of pursuing dreams is lonely. Now it's a difficult situation. But Mara's more determined than ever. Go home. He confessed to his wife that he continues to change 160 million. If you dare to sell, I will poison you. It turns out that this couple always has a soul in tune. To win back the support of the people, Mara enlisted the help of a previous reporter on the local radio station. He told me the truth about being trapped. The two of them used the media to fight remotely. Things can't be guaranteed to be safe. Mara countered that I used an Air Force pilot who can fly safer than them. They both seem to be fighting back. But Mara is also determined not to be able to fight the powerful. Mara in her speech said that rich people want the poor to stay poor. A century ago, they claim that the address is for the rich. 55 years ago they said the same thing about cars. What right do they have to decide for us? Why do they stipulate that others should not be entitled? It takes a few days for them. We move from one place to another, but with the rich, they fly over our heads like gods. We don't have to be inferior. We can fly in planes like them. Mura's words created widespread empathy. You challenge not only pay. It's the whole capitalist class oppressing the context of sentences. They're constantly Mara finally made a bold decision on the next test flight. I'll take my mother Vessi with my wife and daughter. Your best friend was on the plane. Your flight is safe. Also to prevent pay further destructive. Mara even protected BA plane's day before taking off. Time goes to the 25th of August. Thousands are everywhere. Prepared to take off. Mara with her wife and daughter on the plane. But over time there's still no way on board. There was no other way. The flight had to be cancelled. Mara stood there in silence. The ironic image of the privileged class emerges. Smile. The warmth and feeling of 70 feet that never happened. I tried my best, but in the end I failed. Now companion is coming. He just arrived. Sorry, Mara. This confused Mara. It turns out that his booking system leading to the is faulty. All tickets for this flight are automatically cancelled. It also means Mara. He regained the trust of the people to the parking area. When Flight 582 landed safely, ordinary people appear at the door of the plane. Seeing this scene, land tears long on Mura's cheeks. At the same time, other flights. The whole country is filled with smiles. Each plane landed safely and orderly at the destination. Just got off the plane and she hugged Mara on your plane. For years I've dreamed of flying. Even boys. I can't make this dream come true. But today I just spent a little bit of my savings. I flew straight here. It's amazing. Thanks to the support of everyone around, and the others have come together to become a reality. Mura's mother also got off the plane. The image of his father and repeat just fly. And we can take everyone flying with us. I believe that my soul will smile on high. I would be proud of my son. After so many challenges. Pacey's Plan 7 failed trying to cooperate definitely told him. Workers were able to fly. And this will definitely continue.